So we've done the room database DAO entity, and we just finished the repository. Now it's time to look at the view model. So the view model is going to hold all the data. As you can see here, we're going to have live data, which is needed for our user interface. Let's go ahead and get that done. So back here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the view model inside of our model package. So new Java class, no do view model. This will extend Android view model like this. Okay, double click, and there we go. I'm going to say next or okay. And of course, we're going to have to add a constructor here. At the top, we're going to have a few instance variables. First, because our view model, as you see here, will need to have an instance of our repository, because that's how it will be able to connect to our data ROM database. I hope you're seeing here a pattern. So I'm going to say private repository, no do like this, no do repository. And then also we need to add our live data, because that is exactly what it needs, right? So I'm going to add that. Access a private live data. In this case, going to be a list, which will contain no do objects. I'm going to call this all no do's. Inside of our constructor here, I'm going to go say repository, no do repository. I'm going to set it up to new repository, no do as such. I'm going to pass our application context there. And then we're going to set up our all no do's. Live data here is going to be equal to no do repository dot get all. It looks like we don't have. Let's look at our no do repository here. See, get all no do's. Let's copy this, get rid of all of these other distractions here, and it's not showing. Get all nodes is not public. Let's make it public. That way, there we go. That way we're going to be able to actually access it, okay, from our no repository there. Very good. Small things, but likely the IDE tells us exactly what to do, how to fix the problem. Next here, because we are inside of our constructor, we're constructing everything. At this point here, we're going to actually add the getter, because we want to be able to get from our no do view model here all of these items, in this case all no do's. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just say live data again. It's going to be a list containing no do objects. Say get all no do's, okay, and then this will just return all of our all no do's at the top there. Okay, so we're setting things up here, and then we are actually creating this method, all no do's, inside of our no do view model here. Now you may say, why is there so much repetition? Well, the repetition, quote unquote, is actually necessary because, again, we are making sure that all of the repository, that all the data that comes in and it's being wrapped around this live data here inside of view model, it's its own entity. So it separates from repository, it separates from the room database, and so forth. So it's what we call the separation of concerns, because we want to make sure that each level is very independent to one another. So it doesn't even have to really know what the next or the previous level does. Okay, you just have to be able to invoke the methods and then do things with the result. So that's exactly what we're doing here. All right, so now that we have our get all nodes, which returns all nodes that we set up at the top here as a reference, and then inside here of our constructor, we are setting it up, right? So using repository and get all this stuff. This is actually a way for us to get all nodes in our node view model from our repository. Okay, so each class is building off of the previous class, but they're not related at all. All right, so next I'm going to say public void. I'm going to just invoke the insert, because the node view model also has to have a way of inserting an item. So I'm going to say insert, and I want to insert a no do object like this. I'm going to say no do repository, the one that we have been creating and using, dot insert. think it's going to have an issue, but we'll solve that in a second. And we're going to insert our no-do. Okay, so it looks like also we didn't make this private or public. Okay, make it public. So if you go back to repository, you notice that insert is now public. All right, so we are now done. So we've done all of these. The bottom there, we have repository. Now we have ViewModel. The last thing we need to do is to create the actual user interface and controls and so forth. All right, so we're going to do that in the next video.